Communication from the Speaker.
The Speaker's Rooms, Washington, D.C., March 10, 2025. I hereby appoint the Honorable Marionette Miller Meeks to act as Speaker pro tempore on this day. Signed, Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House of Representatives.
Pursuant to the order of the House of January 3, 2025, the Chair will now recognize members submitted by the majority and minority leaders for morning hour debate. The Chair will alternate recognition between the parties with time equally allocated between the parties and each member other than the majority and minority leaders and the minority whip limited to 5 minutes. But in no event shall debate continue beyond 1:50 p.m. The Chair recognizes the gentleman from Arkansas, Mr. Hill, for 5 minutes.
I thank the Speaker. I rise to wish Lori Tudor, the former director of the Arkansas Department of Transportation, a very healthy and happy retirement. Lori was the Department of Transportation for over 4 decades and served as the director for the last 5. She began her career at the department as a clerk typist back in 1982. And after taking time away to earn an engineering degree from the University of Memphis, she returned to the department as a civil engineer in 1998. In 2014, she was promoted to Deputy Director and Chief Operating Officer and became the agency's first female director in early 2020. Lori guided the department through the challenges of COVID-19, played a pivotal role in the Connecting Arkansas program, which included over 30 state highway construction projects and helped modernize the natural state's transportation infrastructure. She's left a lasting mark on the department and our state, and she's proven to be a tireless and effective leader. I thank Lori for her lifetime of dedication and her terrific perseverance to accomplish her personal goals and those of the department. Madam Speaker, I rise today to recognize Austin Booth, an exceptional Arkansan who recently completed his service as the director of our Arkansas Game and Fish Commission. A native of Scott, Arkansas, the outdoors and a passion for public service were integral to Austin's upbringing. After witnessing the 9/11 attacks from his classroom at Catholic High School in Little Rock, Austin was determined to serve his country, ultimately becoming a Marine Corps officer and deploying to Afghanistan. After his tour in Afghanistan, Austin came to Washington, D.C., where he would go on to work as an advocate for the Corps on Capitol Hill and later a judge advocate. He returned to Arkansas to serve as the Arkansas Department of Veterans Affairs and then as a director of the Game and Fish Commission. Under his leadership, the commission launched its strategic 5-year plan, and Austin was instrumental in conservation projects that benefit hunters, anglers, and conservationists for generations to come. I thank Austin for his leadership, for our friendship, and for his unwavering commitment to Arkansas's natural treasures, and wish him all the best in his future endeavors. Madam Speaker, I rise today to recognize Bart Likes, the owner of Old Bart's Southern Eats. What started as a job at a hunting lodge has become a successful multi-location restaurant and catering business that serves customers across our state. But Bart's contribution to his community are not confined to a successful business. Since the tragic passing of his mother, he has been serving others in our state, including sponsoring local sports teams, feeding healthcare workers, and providing free meals to victims of domestic abuse. Bart's story should remind us all that life has twists and turns, but following your passions will never steer you wrong. It should also remind us that there's no greater obligation in life than to helping those in need. I applaud Bart for his success and thank him for his dedication for helping others. Madam Speaker, I rise today to celebrate a truly remarkable gift to higher education in Arkansas and honor the legacy of John Gill, whose name will now grace the newly renamed pre-law program at Hendrix College in Conway. Thanks to a generous $250,000 donation from George and Sally Gill in honor of their brother and brother-in-law, this endowed program will help prepare Hendrix students for a legal career. As a former president of the Arkansas Bar Association and member of the American College of Trial Lawyers, John Gill has left an indelible mark on our state's legal landscape over his 6-decade career. From serving as a delegate to the 1969 Constitutional Convention and shaping the Arkansas Supreme Court's rules of civil procedure, John's legacy is one of integrity and mentorship. Through this endowment, Hendrix will continue to enhance its already impressive pre-law program, which boasts an 87% law school acceptance rate. I commend Hendrix College and the Gill family for their commitment for advancing legal education in Arkansas. And I look forward to seeing those students thrive in law school and beyond. And Madam Speaker, I yield back the balance of my time.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Thompson, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to recognize and celebrate the recipients of this year's Pennsylvania Dairy Innovator Award, Stephanie and Haley Painter, the visionary founders of the Painterland Sisters. Growing up on their family's fourth-generation farm in Tioga County, Pennsylvania, Stephanie and Haley were deeply rooted in the traditions of dairy farming. Their upbringing instilled in them a profound appreciation for the land, animals, and the farming community. This foundation inspired their mission to bridge the gap between consumers and origins of their food, leading to the creation of the Painterland Sisters brand. In 2018, they embarked on a journey to transform their vision into reality. By March 2022, their organic skyr yogurt hit the shelves and today can now be found in all 50 states, with a production of approximately 270,000 units weekly. This remarkable growth is a testament to their dedication and entrepreneurial spirit. The Pennsylvania Dairy Innovator Award recognizes an individual or business entity that has provided tremendous innovation to progress Pennsylvania's dairy industry towards a brighter future, either by advancing the marketplace or creating new opportunities for innovation on the dairy farm. And this dynamic duo is a shining example of just that. The Painterland Sisters source milk from their farm and partner with 25 other Pennsylvania dairy farms. They ensure that their products are not only of the highest quality, but also support local farming practices. Beyond their product line, Stephanie and Haley have positioned themselves as leaders and advocates within the agricultural community. They actively engage with educational programs, mentor young agriculturalists, and collaborate with organizations such as the Center for Dairy Excellence and the Pennsylvania Organic Center for Excellence. Their involvement extends to hosting farm tours, participating in community events, and serving on advisory committees. Their efforts has garnered significant recognition. Along with this year's Pennsylvania Dairy Innovator Award, the sister duo earned a spot on Forbes 30 Under 30 for food and drink in 2023. Their accolades underscore their impact and the respect that they have earned within the industry. The Painterland Sister story is a powerful example of how passion, innovation, and a commitment to core values can drive meaningful change in the dairy industry. Like many young farmers, the Painter Sisters were looking for ways to carry on their family's agricultural legacy while making it their own. The Painter Sisters' dedication and passion for their family farm and business have led to tremendous success. Madam Speaker, the Painterland Sisters' commitment to making a difference sets an inspiring example for the next generation of dairy farmers and entrepreneurs. I want to congratulate them on this well-deserved recognition and thank them for their contributions to Pennsylvania agriculture. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I yield back the balance of my time. The chair recognizes the gentlewoman from Iowa, Ms. Miller Meeks, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor the life and legacy of a dear friend and a former Iowa State Representative, James Frederick Hahn. James was a public servant who dedicated. He was a farmer in Muscatine County. He was hardworking. Throughout his time in the Iowa legislature, James fought for the values that make our rural state great. He was a champion for rural communities, farmers, and agriculture, and supported policies that put Iowans first. His leadership and integrity left a lasting impression and impact on Iowans, and his legacy will never be forgotten. Beyond his service in office, James was a family man and a friend to many. His kindness, wisdom, and dedication to serving Iowa will be remembered by all. My prayers are with his family, friends, and everyone mourning his passing. May we honor his memory by continuing to serve with the same commitment and passion he did. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize an outstanding young Iowan, Will Ryan, for his nomination for the Big Ten's prestigious Jackie Robinson Community Service and Impact Award. Will is not only a standout junior on the University of Iowa's team, but has continued. Today, when he's not setting records on the track, he's dedicating his time to the University of Iowa Stead Family Children's Hospital. His connection to Stead's is personal. Having spent a week there in high school, he saw firsthand the incredible care and support the hospital provides. That experience inspired him to give back and committed to making a difference. Will. Mr. Speaker, I want to wish my brother Fred a very happy birthday. Happy birthday, Fred. With that, I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. Pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the Chair declares the House in recess until 2 p.m. today.